Hi guys, I hope you're having a good day. I wanted to check in, and first I wanted to tell you guys that since starting this group, my very favorite thing has been on Wednesday mornings when you guys tell me, the good things you've done for yourself that day. So I wanted to make sure you guys know that if you want to share a milestone or a hurdle you've crossed, please do. I think that sharing our stories and being able to interact with one another and seeing people that are maybe close to the same steps or having the same struggles as you is really beneficial. And that is the ultimate goal here, is that as a society or as a community, we can help each other to better ourselves, to get healthier in whatever ways we need to heal. So please share those big moments with us. Don't be afraid. Be proud of yourself. And part of being proud of yourself is being able to acknowledge it. Just like we have to acknowledge our addictions, we have to acknowledge the things that areas where we need work. We need to acknowledge the good things that we're doing. So please share with us. Second, I wanted to talk to you guys about a quote that's been in my head for a few months now, and I really don't even remember where I heard it or who said it to me. I wish I did so I could give him a shout out and give him credit. But it was really life changing for me, and I don't know, 3-6 months. I don't know. It's been a while, but it's in my head every day. I play this quote in my head, and it really helps me to stay on my path. Anyway, the quote goes something like, "If you listen to your body whisper, you don't have to hear it scream," or something along those lines. That's paraphrasing, as I tend to do with quotes. But for me, I had to get to the point where my body was screaming at me before I would even acknowledge that there was something wrong with me. And looking back, and I'm speaking specifically here with the celiac disease. Looking back, I've had symptoms that I can recall at least 20 years ago. As I've researched the disease and saw how it, kind of comes out in kids, and, because it does kind of tend to show differently in children than it does in adults. But anyway, it just kept progressing because I wasn't talking about what I was going through or what I was experiencing. So it just kept getting worse, and I didn't even actually know I was sick. And probably because I was a smoker and I was actually numbing my central nervous system, so I couldn't feel a lot of the things that was going on. My body was still whispering to me all along that something just wasn't right. And many of you probably don't know, but celiac disease, first off, most diseases, they can show up differently in all people. But celiac disease specifically has over 300 symptoms. Now, very few people have all of those symptoms. But one type of celiac disease is called gluten ataxia, which is similar to like MS or multiple sclerosis symptoms, and it really affects the patient neurologically, which is something that I deal with, to the point that about a little less than 4 years ago, I was told that I was on the autism spectrum. Now, that was something that was pretty difficult to believe for, a lot of people around me, and it was kind of difficult for me to grasp because I would have never really suspected it. But what was happening to my brain due to the celiac disease and all the gluten I was ingesting is absolutely very similar to what happens in a child with autism, which is why a lot of times changing somebody's diet or a child with autism's diet can actually reverse a lot of the symptoms. But for me personally, it kept getting worse. It kept getting worse. I kept eating more gluten, and I really love bread and pasta and pizza, and I was, the last several years getting so skinny, I was doing everything I could to put on weight. And well, what do? When somebody needs to gain weight, you give them carbs, which is the exact wrong thing to do. But that's what our society thinks, and that's what we've been taught for a long time. But anyway, so that's just a little part of my story. But I had skin issues for years, to the point that it wasn't like acne. It was more like a kind of a dry rash that I'd get on my face, like just little red bumps, but they weren't pimples. And I get rashes on other parts of my body too, and even more so now if I get exposed to the littlest amounts of gluten now that I've cleaned my system so well. I had left side pain that would get really, really intense from time to time. I had horrible period cramps, which is all part of, what I'm dealing with celiac disease. It's specific symptoms, and then, the other parts of the body that it damages as the disease progresses. So I had lots of different things going on that were really my body's way of telling me something's not right, something's not right. But I didn't listen until it got to the point where all my lymph nodes were swelling up all over my body, and I got scared. I was afraid I had cancer or something. And, cancer actually is another form of our body screaming, and it's one that we're all afraid of. But the truth is that cancer generally, now there are always exceptions to this, but generally speaking, cancer has been living in somebody's body for 8 to 10 years before it even gets diagnosed, before it's even able to be detected. Now, there are fast-growing cancers that, again, not every single situation is like that, but on average, the majority of cancers have been in our bodies for 8 to 10 years before we even get diagnosed. So what that tells me is that for 8 to 10 years, your body has been whispering, and you haven't been listening to it before you get a cancer diagnosis. Now, what are ways that our bodies whisper? Well, I've already told you about, skin issues. Skin issues is telling you that your body is reacting to something, and it's not reacting in a good way. So your kidneys aren't able to filter things, or your liver's not able to filter the toxins, and that is why it's coming out your skin. So what's happening that your kidneys and your liver aren't able to do their job? You're overtaxing it in some way. So skin issues is a big one. Another one is indigestion, heartburn. If you have to take Tums after you eat a meal, your body doesn't like that food. And if you continue to eat that food, your body's going to scream eventually because you're doing damage. Just because you can handle the pain right now doesn't mean that it's not doing permanent damage, or not even permanent, because you can reverse these things, but it is doing continual harm. If you drink milk and it gives you a tummy ache, don't blow that off. That's your body whispering. Another thing is if your hair is starting to fall out, of course we lose some hairs. This fly is driving me crazy. Of course we lose hairs from time to time, every day or every time you brush your hair, but if it's falling out in bigger clumps, there's something wrong. If you have bathroom issues at all, constipation, diarrhea, something's going on. You ate something, right? And if you get diarrhea every time you eat Mexican, well, there's something in that Mexican food that your body doesn't like. It's probably the gluten, if I had to guess, but, or the dairy. But it's something, and everybody is different. So you need to pay attention to that. What is it that made your body do that? And let me not do that again, because I don't want to create permanent damage. Another one is you can look at your fingernails, and you can find all kinds of pictures online to show you exactly what different things on your fingernails tell you. I get these little white spots on mine, and that little white spot is an indication that you're not absorbing nutrients, that you're malnourished. Well, for me, my small intestine and my stomach were so messed up from, the undiagnosed celiac and the continual of shoving my face full of gluten, that I wasn't absorbing nutrients. I had a leaky gut. So my nails were showing it. There are so many different things that our body does to alert us so that we don't have to go through the serious health crises that we see so often in our lives. So listen to that. Pay attention to your body. Listen to it whisper so you don't have to hear it scream. Now, take some time. Maybe tonight, meditate on that. Maybe tomorrow morning, take some time. Sit for 5 minutes, sit for 10 minutes, and really just breathe. Focus on your breathing and have that in the back of your mind, and your body will start to tell you, your mind, your higher self will start to tell you areas that you need to address, and then take it from there. But please, I love you all. I want you all to be able to be the thriving human beings that we are meant to be. So listen to your body whisper so you don't have to hear it scream. I love you guys. Have a good day.